We worked with Janet and Dorinda at the Arizona Army National Guard, and we conducted a climate vulnerability assessment for their Florence military reservation. So the Department of Defense was issued an executive order to boost their resilience to climate change, and this was based on the understanding that climate change acts as a threat multiplier, which may decrease military readiness and endanger the mission success. And you can read the mission right here. And climate obviously impacts the environment that we depend on, and these impacts directly impact troops, civilians, flora and fauna, and all of their relationships. So if we have fauna moving into the territory that is the FMR, this could cause complications and things like this. So we investigated a few different questions for them, and we really focused on the impact to FMR's operations, particularly pertaining to cultural and natural resources. So our report questions were: what climatic impact should FMR expect and plan for? How will these changes impact current operations? And what strategies should be implemented now to mitigate potential future impacts? So I assume most of you don't know anything about FMR. I know we didn't when we started. It was really exciting to learn about it and get to travel there. But it's actually the training grounds for troops, police, and other security forces. And it's over 19,000 acres, which is pretty substantial, and it contains federal, state, and leased land. You can see a map over here. It might be a little hard to read, but you can use your imagination. And then it's bordered by the Bureau of Land Management land, as well as state trusts and privately owned land. This is especially important because if state trust land or private land gets developed, then this could be a real problem in terms of water resources and encroachment and pushing species onto FMR and things like this that could really impact operations. And the FMR is located 40 miles southeast of Phoenix, which is about an hour drive in the beautiful desert. And so it's located in the Sonoran Desert ecoregion, which is known specifically for saguaro cacti. We're all very familiar with those.
All right. So although climate projections do not predict the future, they should be used to inform decision-making to secure a successful future for FMR. In our report, we assessed the risks associated with climate change at two different scales: the Southwest region as a whole and the Sonoran Desert ecoregion. In the Southwest region, we can expect to see changes in precipitation, which can lead to droughts and water insecurity. We can also expect to see an overall increase in temperature, which will impact fire frequency and intensity and can lead to agricultural failures as well as many other negative effects. The Sonoran Desert ecoregion will see similar effects in climate change. The effects that we thought would be most pertinent to FMR include experiencing less precipitation, an increase in extreme weather events, and lastly, extreme heat from rising temperatures. In 2015, the soldiers at FMR reported only 4 days of rain, and they also observed shifting patterns of strong winds. So overall, the Sonoran Desert ecoregion is expected to warm significantly more rapidly than anywhere else in the U.S. almost. So these issues arising from climate change should be of high importance to the Arizona National Guard. Again, due to the effects of climate change that might be experienced on the base, FMR's future compliance in relation to certain acts such as the Endangered Species Act, the Archaeological Resources Act, and the Clean Water Act might become more complicated. For instance, it is uncertain how plant and animal ranges will shift in the future because of these effects. Biogeochemical processes may also be altered, causing a strain on natural resources. And climate change not only complicates regulatory compliance, but also infrastructure integrity as well. The mission of the National Guard pertains to national security, and success in achieving this mission may be affected by climate change. So in order to mitigate these risks, the Arizona National Guard will have to take action to prevent the degradation of their natural and cultural resources. We recommend that they become active in watershed stewardship through analysis and water conservation. They invest in resilient shade and energy structures, and they complete visioning exercises to assess risks to their land and operations, such as encroachment of community developments.
So the next step is to really engage stakeholders on the risks and opportunities pertaining to climate change. In this semester, we didn't quite have time to go interview all the soldiers and everything on base or on the reservation, but it is really important to understand from their perspective we did get a few stories and whatnot about weather patterns that were really interesting, and we wanted more. We just didn't have the capacity to get more. So we definitely recommend doing that. And then also starting discussions with state and local landowners, because like we discussed, if you build a new development a little north of FMR, which is in the works, or maybe not in the works, but there are development plans that have been proposed for it, then that could pose a really serious problem for a military reservation that already, gets most of their water trucked in. This could complicate water scarcity issues. And then also we definitely recommend launching a deeper vulnerability investigation, because the situation is constantly changing. The climate's changing, people are changing, the national security, context is changing, and so diving deeper. And I think Nalini's next class is actually going to pick up this project and dive deeper, all PhDs, so I'm sure they'll do really amazing work. And lastly, the National Guard was born out of the Revolutionary War, and they've been continuing to adapt ever since and protect our country. And so we're very confident that they will continue to do so, but it does require acting strategically on climate change threats and risks. So yeah, we just want to thank Janet and Durenda, because we actually got to go out to the Florence Military Reservation and look around and go off-roading and do all this fun stuff. So it was really awesome, and we learned a lot. And as someone with family members in the service, it was just really fun to connect with you. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you.